KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And
we are live.
Caught you off guard this time.
Yeah, absolutely. We had to be a little quiet right there.
Well, we were a little off balance there. That's what happens when you take a week off.
That is correct.
Well, I just have to know, did you bring the jet back and gas it back up and get it washed?
I did, and
I hate it when there's no gas in it.
The limo company is probably a little mad at me. There was stuff all in the limo after the ride, but they are always phenomenal.
They are really good, actually.
They're so patient with us.
Yes. But the main thing is the jet's back. We can now jetpack or jet off to someplace else now.
Yeah. When we vet vendors, that's the first thing we do is ask them.
Yeah. How patient are you? Do you have a high tolerance level?
So, Joe, you got some shout-outs.
I want to give a shout-out. We have people that tune into the show from all around the world, and my buddy Anthony in London is tuning in today, and we have a new listener, Donnie in Kentucky. So
wow,
I promised them I would give them shout-outs. Yeah.
Well,
it's an international show. The country of Kentucky is tuning in.
That is correct.
and it goes from there. We've got some
Kentucky is a country in and of itself. I'm just telling you right there. Have you been there before?
So, what are we talking about?
I think we're talking a little bit about real estate today.
We are talking a lot about real estate today.
And something that's often not talked about and should be is surveys.
Absolutely.
And people are, right now, it's been a tradition to oftentimes use an existing survey.
I just want to know how many doctors you have to poll to get those answers. 1 in 5 doctors, 2 in 5 doctors.
The survey says. But one of the things, and you're right, as many different types of people we have on the show all the time, we have never, ever, ever had somebody to speak about surveys, and today we have a great company to speak about surveys.
Premier Surveying is Tammy Copa and Shadan Buckalew are here today. Welcome.
I just have a ton of questions for you guys.
All right. Thanks. Well, we're ready.
They were ready at 8:30.
Absolutely. And by the way, we are talking about surveys for a home. What Joe was referring to
went all
the surveys, for the doctor says, 1 in 5 doctors don't support Crest, I think it is, but the other 4 do. In this case,
I was going to ask them if they work with the Family Feud people.
The Family Feud people as well, and how do you get those surveys in Family Feud? So, and they probably do a little bit right there, but more importantly, it's about finding out where your home fits on the lot that you own. So, Shadan, let us know a little bit about Premier Surveying, if you don't mind.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Shadan Buckalew. I'm president of sales and marketing at Premier Surveying, and I'm excited to be here and educate you guys a little bit on surveys. Everybody hears the first word survey, they think, oh my God, I don't, the questionnaire. No, I don't have time for that. No. We're calling to just check to see if we can set up your survey for you that we have gotten order from the title office or the lender. Basically, a survey is a representation, a two-dimensional representation, if you will, of what is on your property that you're getting ready to buy. And in most cases, when you're taking out a loan, the lender or the title office or in most cases both of them require that you have an accurate survey of what is on your property. So not only the boundaries, but also the improvements that are represented on your property. So that's where we come in.
One of the things that you hear a lot, one of the things we like to always explain for listeners, for example, you have a lot of meets and bounds. You hear that in regards to, and that's not necessarily going and getting cold cuts at the supermarket, right?
No, it sure is not.
Yeah. So, explain a little bit, what is a meets and bounds?
Sure.
What are some of the terminologies associated
Absolutely.
with the survey side?
Well, your typical residential neighborhood is going to be a platted subdivision. And by that, what that means is at some point a developer came in, developed that land, and then builder came in and platted that subdivision into however many lots that they wanted to put on that subdivision, and that's where you get the description of something like Lot 3, Block 5 of the Heights subdivision, Section 2, Phase 1, Harris County, so on and so forth. What a meets and bounds description of a property is basically it's a non-platted subdivision, but it gives you bearings and distances of how you have a beginning point. Generally, you're going to have beginning at a 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch iron rod, and it's found generally at some corner or intersection. And then it gives you a bearing, and you go north, east, and then, you work your way around. And basically, a good meets and bounds description is one that is going to close. And by that, it means it gets back to the point of beginning. So if you can just picture a rectangular lot, any property, it can have a meets and bounds description written for it. That's kind of a misconception. Some people think, okay, platted and it's platted forever. No, we could write a meets and bounds description for something that is platted as well, as long as you have a good beginning point and you work your way basically around the property in the correct bearings and distances and get back to the point of beginning. You've got yourself a meets and bounds. Now, that's a very simple case where you have just a rectangular or a square lot. In a lot of instances, when we have meets and bounds properties, it's because it follows a creek line. And every little angle and turn, it becomes a call. And so you get these 3 or 4 pages of call after call, because now here you're going up here this many degrees, seconds, and minutes, and now you're going down this way and up and down and around. And, it can be complicated. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever heard of save and accept.
Yes.
If everybody doesn't know what that is, and
I have no clue.
A lot of people get confused when they see a legal description that says something, containing 3 acres, save and accept that portion, and they think, oh my God, here's another 1 acre that's added on to this. A save and accept is actually what's subtracted from the original tract. And in a lot of cases, save and accept are put in a lot of times for taking out a right-of-way, a road right-of-way that was planned at some point, but now the city or the county wants to take that right-of-way away. So they write a meets and bounds description. It's save and accept is just the name of that portion that's being subtracted out, but in itself, it is also another meets and bounds description. So basically, it'll say, okay, save and accept, blah, blah, blah. It'll have some calls. It'll be like a little sliver that's, maybe 3 or 4 feet wide and really long because it's the frontage of the property, and you save and accept it from that original tract.
So let me go into something really fast on. So surveying so far has stolen meets and bounds, save and accept from the computer industry, right of way.
Hey, I just want to know, every night, like once a month, I go out and I move our fence during the middle of the night.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Out a couple inches towards our neighbor's house.
He always calls me about Chris. He's like, hey, Chris, by the way, when I come over tonight, we'll play a trick.
Over the years, I've gotten another couple feet of yard. Is that going to be a problem?
So when something moves, okay.
And I'm talking about, like, creeks are well known for changing
Just ignore me around here.
paths.
That is correct.
We do our best.
So this gets back to what's recorded in the county records as the property description. Every property has a deed recorded in the county courthouse. Most general public would not know this, but everything that's out there has monumentation. It has corners marked for the property, and a lot of times we don't find them because they've been dug up, because fences have been put in and whatnot. But
or because Joe's out there moving a fence line.
The ideal scenario would have been that, for example, in a subdivision, builder built out the lots and they marked every lot with the monumentation, the 4 corners for that lot, so that when a survey crew goes out there to survey the property, they look for those. That's one of the first things.
Well, tell them what a monumentation is. Okay,
monumentation, they're these big iron rods that are basically buried in the ground, anywhere from 4, 6, 8 inches deep. And they are found with, we use special metal detectors. Schonstadts are the best brand that we use. And they find those.
Chris, get a bill together on that, please.
Yeah, we'll get a bill together with that sponsorship right there. Yeah. So they're in the ground. So, one of the things about surveys we see all the time also is there's something called easements.
That's right.
And so an easement, you've got an aerial easement. You have an actual easement, that, a building line easement. You've got different types of easements. Gas line easement, utilities, that is correct.
I thought that was part of the yard that got lazy.
Yeah. That is correct. It is. They take it easy. That's what you call it, an easement. But, describe a little bit about the easements and how that works.
Okay, so easements are generally an area you have to be cautious about. And a typical residential lot in a neighborhood would have generally utility easements as a bare minimum. And what that basically is saying is, okay, you know what? I've got some cable, some fiber optics line running under here. There is some power lines potentially running under here. And those are defined by easements, and they're generally different documents that describe more in detail what those easements are. And a lot of times on a plat, it would be described by, there'll be some notations on the plat, some graphical as well as notes that says, okay, there's a 15-foot utility easement here. There's a 10-foot sanitary sewer easement, which you know what that is.
Correct.
Aerial easements are huge in Houston. There are a lot of aerial easements. There's also pipeline easements because there's a lot of pipelines that go around in Houston. And these are all important things for the homeowner or a future homeowner to know, because they need to know what goes under their property, and that will constrict them with what they can or cannot do. If somebody has a 20-foot sanitary sewer easement that runs through the middle of their backyard, most likely they won't be able to put a pool in that backyard. So that's something they need to know, and we provide that information on the survey to keep them educated. So there's a lot of information on the survey they get, and if they're, have any questions, of course, they can always call us to decipher and understand what that is. But the title office and the lender, and of course the real estate agent, will help them understand what they have there on the survey.
And every lender is going to require that that survey be available. Tell people why they should get a new survey.
Well, the reason you should get a new survey, now in the state of Texas, there's not a rule that says every time a property changes hands, a new survey is required. The reason a lot of title companies have their own rules and restrictions, as do lenders. Some are tighter and some are more lenient. The rule of thumb is about if your survey is older than 10 years, you should definitely get a new survey, or if an improvement has been made to the property. And by improvement, these are external improvements. This would be if the fence has been changed out, if a patio has been added.
Honey, doesn't that fence look closer to our patio?
If a extension to the house has been made, an extra room has been added, the garage has been widened, the driveway has been widened, additional stone planters and fancy landscaping has been done. An outdoor kitchen has been added. These are all reasons to get a new survey. Now, if you remodel the inside of your house and you change the paint from green to red, you don't need to get a new survey. It's all the external stuff that they care about. They need to know exactly what's on there. And we get this quite often, actually. A lot of times people, we get the panic calls, of course, from the title office saying, oh, my God, we're going to need a new survey. We just had a closing. People showed up at the closing. They brought their old survey, and guess what? They've added a pool, and this one doesn't have a pool. And they're like, oh, I can just draw that right in. I'll show you where that is. It goes kind of like this, and the lenders.
It goes kind of like this.
It kind of would be the proper description.
It kind of goes like this. I don't think it's kind of in an easement, but I don't think.
And here's what I tell clients and things like that. I had an agent call me in a panic one time. They had a previous survey, which already had the pool. They decided to get a new survey, and the new survey showed an easement that went where? Underneath the pool.
Yes.
And so they had to get it. What do you do?
And those are difficult situations. There will have to be an exception made.
Get a survey, someone who is working on your behalf. And in case of the older surveys, I always tell people, check to see if they're still in business.
Exactly.
Because they're the ones that have to stand behind the survey. If they're gone, you got nowhere to go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We have a call coming in.
We do have a call right now. Bill, how are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
It's a great day. I was just wondering, I was listening to Shadan, and I was wondering what makes one survey company different than another. And when I was a kid, you'd see these surveyors out there with look like ancient surveying rod and sticks and all of that. Is that still the same way it's done? And what makes one survey company different than another? Is it pretty much all the same,
Bill, before you answer that, I want to give you a big shout-out. For those who do not know, this is Bill Shattuck who is calling in right now. And Bill is, and aside from being a great individual, is also an individual who sponsors a large portion of this show, by the way.
Yes. Well,
and Bill, how are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm proud to be a sponsor of this show.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Y'all provide a real good service for all of us real estate types, and that includes most everybody in one way or another.
Well, Bill, we're going to have you on the show here sometime pretty soon. We want to talk about the story of how you got to be where you are. But in the meantime, I'll let Shadan go ahead and answer that question right there.
Bill, good morning. Thank you very much for your call. Yes, of course, there's difference between survey company to survey company. A lot of survey companies out there, they cut corners and they don't do a quality field work coming from the field. We rather take our time and take the best care that we can to make sure we put an accurate survey out there. Sometimes we have to do what's called a block survey. All those monumentations and rods that I was mentioning earlier for a property are not always found. Sometimes in older neighborhoods, they are not there. They've been dug up. There have been remodeling, fences put in and out multiple times. And previous surveyors have never set those irons. So what we have to do is we have to go farther. We have to go to the adjoining properties. We have to go across the street. We have to shoot in the curb, the back of the curb, the street. We have to go to the next block. We have to get some known monumentations to reference to in order to make sure we're getting some accurate information to put the survey together. Quality and integrity is our middle name. We make sure that product that we put out to the client is going to stand up. This is a legal document that's going to be filed with the county records, and we need to make sure it's accurate. We stand behind our product, and we make sure we take the best care. Does that answer your question?
Well, let me ask you this. What about the technology? When I was, I can remember highway projects with looked like a telescope, somebody looking through a telescope, and somebody, is technology advanced?
Oh, absolutely.
Is there a difference today?
Absolutely. In the old days, if you can just envision years ago without the technology that we have today, you just take yourself a long tape measure, 100 foot or 300 foot, and you just start taping it in, is what's called in the lingo that's called in surveying business, which means you literally take a tape measure and measure the boundary, measure the house, measure the angles, work all the angles. Now, we have some very, very extensive modern technology now that we use in the form of our equipment. We use TopCon equipment. We recently added to our list of equipment some Trimble GPS units, R6 Trimble GPS units, which basically sync up to the multiple satellites that are out in orbit. And basically,
Rob, did you get those company names?
I did get. They're getting an invoice.
Shoot them an invoice.
Now, Shadan, nobody knows what those are. Those different brand names.
Well,
it's
pretty technical. It's hard to
explain
when you. Of course, I'll do my best for you. Okay, so you can just think of GPS the way that an average person thinks of GPS. Okay, it tells you where to go. These are more sophisticated equipment that basically tell you down to the inches and millimeters where things are. So we are able to use the GPS system with the coverage area, the network that they have available for us to do what we do out there. So there's a couple of different types of instrumentation that we use. One is what we call just conventional, which would be your TopCon instruments that mainly is used. Every one of our crews has those, and they use that. Those are what you were calling a telescope. It's actually not a telescope. It's a TopCon instrument that is like a laser, basically. It's shooting laser. We use a prism and a prism pole on the other end, and it directs it with the right angle where to shoot it in. Basically, we call that shooting in the points. So in addition to taking measurements with a tape, we also shoot it in. We bring those points in. This is how we're able to do things a lot quicker than just your conventional pulling tape.
Shadan, I could probably save your company like tens of thousands of dollars. You could just hire my wife because she is fantastic at telling me where to go.
Shadan,
yes,
sir. What does the GPS have anything to do with it?
Okay, what the GPS units do, they help us be much more efficient on complicated, large surveys. When you think about 30 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres. When you have to do something like that conventionally, there is only a range of what a conventional instrumentation can do. When you have a GPS unit, you can cut many hours that would take to survey something large like that. As an example, I'll give you an example. We just did a survey, 57 acres in Madisonville. With conventional, it takes about 2 days. With GPS, it will take about 4 hours.
Well, is it just that you're getting a the job done quicker, or is there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that we can do the job quicker. It's not that we couldn't do it conventionally. Yes, we can do it conventionally. It just takes longer. And we can certainly hold a class for you if you like, and we can teach you more details about the instrument if you like. I had a training in Austin with 4 of my crew chiefs last week, and we basically learned how to use the new equipment that we got. And, it's quite sophisticated. It's quite complex, and it's got a lot of features. Really difficult to explain all the intricacies of it on a quick, radio program.
But if you do want to get more information, we can go to the realestateratpack.com website, and you can find all the great information about Premier Surveying and everyone else. Bill, do you have any more questions for Shadan?
No, that's all. Y'all have a great day.
We want to say thank you very much, Bill, for all your support. We're going to get you on here pretty soon.
Thank you, Bill.
I do have a question about that.
Sure.
We're looking at getting a pool, and we have an amazing
From Down Under Pools.
Yeah, we have
I
an
hope,
amazing
with,
sponsor of the show, Down Under Pools.
Correct.
Hatfield.
They do amazing work, and he asked for a copy of the survey.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and looked at our original closing title information, and there was no survey.
Ooh.
And after some
Sounds like you're going to be calling Premier Survey.
Exactly,
Take
I
care of
am.
survey for you.
What I figured out was, the first 2 years we owner financed the house, and I didn't know that. He didn't get a survey.
You weren't working with a professional, were you?
I was, but that's a long story. Anyway, so he didn't have a survey then.
So we can keep the suspense going, I guess, after the break.
Yeah,
We absolutely will. We
I'll
are
have to ask
coming up
when I come
against the
back.
break right now. We always want to hear from you. If you have any questions
Our producer's
about
throwing
any of our
gang signs
guests,
over
you can
here.
call us at 800-808-5548. We have a lot of good information coming on board. Again, that was Shadan with Premier Surveying. We're going to give out all the numbers at the end of the show. Stay tuned. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
I was asking a question when we were going to break, but we will save it for the end of the show in the open mic segment.
In the open mic segment. Well, exactly.
I have a
Because
question about surveys.
everyone's on pins and needles, and that's what we're
I know,
keep
they're
them.
waiting.
We're going to keep them until that very last suspense
that's a good
item right there.
cliffhanger.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good to have cliffhangers in a show.
When do you have to have a survey?
Oh.
We'll get to that.
We're going to get back to that then.
Yeah.
That sounds good. The next subject matter we're going to be speaking about, and this is nothing from a suspenseful perspective. We actually have somebody who is with a really dear company that I absolutely love, which is Bernstein Realty, and we actually have Neil Caldwell on board. How you doing, Neil?
Doing great, thank you.
What have you been up to?
Oh, no good.
No good?
I've been anxiously awaiting to hear about why I need a survey, but I guess I can hold on
But
till
you'll
the
have
end
to
of the
wait till
show.
the last segment. As I often do, I'm out trolling for guests out at events, and I was out at a political
Trolling.
event.
You're not a troll. You're trolling.
I'm trolling.
Yes, okay.
And ran into Neil at a political event with Rick Santorum, actually, and he started talking about this program. So I'm going to defer to you and let's talk about Homes for Heroes.
I would agree. I want to do it, but first, let us know a little bit about you, Neil.
Oh wow, you don't have a long enough program for that, I don't think. I've been around a long time. I've done just about everything under the sun. I've been a sculptor. I've restored historical monuments. I've run businesses for famous industrialists. I've been an entrepreneur in a number of different ways.
Wow, and you're only 26 years old. That's
and I'm
incredible.
only 26 years old. Yeah. You can tell by looking, right? But, and as the fans can on the radio.
That is correct.
A face made for radio.
That is correct.
But I had a big change in my life a few years ago and came back to the city that I've always called home, even though I wasn't born here. But I've been a Texan from the day I walked into the state. And so I came back to Houston.
That
with
happens
my kids
to people.
and grandkids. Yes, indeed. My kids and grandkids are here. So I came back and started a brand new life. And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I thought I would become a real estate agent.
That is
the
awesome.
market seemed great. I had the talent for it. I've talked to every kind of profession there is, so I figured I can relate to people and that might
And
be
it
a
seems
wise
easy.
thing to do.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
The default it's the default profession. Well, I can always do real estate. Right? It's like, because it's so easy.
Yeah, because it's so easy, right?
Actually, I thought it was a great challenge, so it took me quite a while to make the decision to go ahead and do that. And I was lucky enough to meet Amy Bernstein and decide to go to work with her. She's been a great friend and a great partner.
Absolutely. She's a great individual. Her and Mary Piper and all your individuals over there. Just an incredible staff, Gloria and just everyone, Katie. Yes. You name it over there. But, one of the things we're going to be talking about today is going to be a little bit about the Homes for Heroes program. One of the things that you sort of created that niche and that you really like is helping our police officers and our firefighters and our educators. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, one of the main things to know about Homes for Heroes when you meet somebody that does that is, why are they doing it? And that should be the first subject. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I remember how well I was treated when I came back from Vietnam.
Right.
And no one knew I was gone, no one cared, and didn't want to hear about it. And it was 30-some-odd years before somebody said the first welcome home. So when I heard about Homes for Heroes about a year ago, I jumped on the program. It's an opportunity for me to do things, and it's not just for military, as you mentioned.
That is correct.
But it's current and ex-military, policemen, firemen, EMTs, healthcare workers of all sorts, doctors, nurses, teachers are included, and clergy. And when we talk about teachers being included, because teachers are part of the school program, anybody that works for a school district, I will include in that program.
Really?
Since the healthcare workers are included, anybody who works in the hospitals, I will include in the program. And I particularly like to serve people that work for the VA hospital, since that's near and dear to my heart.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tell everybody is, a VA loan is the best loan you can do out there, from a loan perspective. And I thoroughly agree with you. I think serving anyone who services in a public service mechanism, especially our veterans, our police officers, our firefighters, our educators who educate the youth of our nation, I take, and everyone needs to do this, always take extremely good care of them, because they are truly the backbone of what allows us to live in the society and the market and the free economy that we live in today. And it's something that, I never take for granted right there.
Well, these folks are literally community heroes, and it's real important that we do something to give back to them. In the case of Homes for Heroes, it's not the program that gives them a free home or buys a home for them. What we do as realtors is we give 30% of our commission to the Homes for Heroes. 5% of that goes to the foundation itself, and 25% goes to the hero. Wow. And then there are also lenders in the program. The mortgage companies will give anywhere from $1,000 to 1% of the transaction.
Yep.
So if somebody's buying a typical home with $200,000, they're going to get $1,500 from me and Amy, and they're going to get $1,000 to up to $2,000 from a lender.
It's always important. One of the things we say is, if you have a question or want to know more about what goes on, you can call us on air. If you want to know even more about that, you can go out, look us up on Facebook. You can call everybody, which we're going to give out numbers at the end of the show right here. You can also go to the realestateratpack.com website and get all the great information. Listen to our past shows. Again, it's all about an education forum. We're about educating and informing individuals of where to go to get the correct information. One of the things that we can't talk enough about is, and I want to give a big shout out, and I didn't do this a while ago, it was a big shout out to all of our military and individuals, both active military and inactive at this point, who have served our military and provide the freedoms that this country deserves and that we live under every day of our lives. I want to give a big shout out to all of our military personnel.
Thank you. We all appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, so keep going a little bit about, obviously we've got this program out here, the Homes for Heroes. You do a great donation associated with this in reference to the individuals who participate. Why would an individual want to look at this type of program? What does it offer that's different than any other program out there?
I tell you what, the one thing that's done for the program has done for people is it gives an opportunity for people who could not get a home otherwise to get one. Those several thousands of dollars at closing make all the difference in the world to a young police officer or a young military man or fireman in getting a home, even though it can be used any number of times. They aren't limited to one. There's no income limit. There's no limit on the cost of the house. Anyone can use it. So if it's $1 million house, it's a $200,000 house, a $100,000 house. Doesn't make any difference.
That is correct.
We offer the 25% that Amy and I give to the individual hero themselves. Like I said, the lending companies give anywhere from 1,000 to 1%. And it's real important that we spread the word. And if everybody out there can tell any teacher, fireman, policeman, military person, any kind of educator, any hospital worker, any clergy person about this program, they could really do a great service to them to get them into the program. It costs them nothing to apply. All they have to do is go onto homesforheroes.com and register, and then they will be contacted by whichever affiliate is in services that area, the zip code that they're in.
Right.
And it may be me, it may be somebody else. There's 21 of us in the Houston area that work as affiliates for Homes for Heroes. There are 13 lenders in the area. Plus, there's a bunch of Homes for Heroes friends. Friends of Heroes are called. You've got title companies, insurance companies, plumbers. Everybody that wants to support the military, support the policemen, can contribute to the program.
Absolutely. I was having a conversation the other night, with a friend of mine, and he's in the process of purchasing a home, and he's military, and he said, I was talking with him, I said, what type of loan you doing? He said, I'm going to do a conventional loan. I said, why? I said, you're a veteran. He goes, I've never used my VA eligibility, and I find sometimes veterans don't realize this. It's the best loan out there. You cannot get anything better than a VA loan. That's bar none the number one loan that you can possibly do. But then a lot of times also you have individuals who need assistance who don't realize about Homes for Heroes or the TSHAC program or MCC, which is a mortgage credit certificate. So there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of help, there's a lot of opportunities to get in to these homes, and we want to take care of those segments that you mentioned right there. Individuals who have earned that right to be able to get into a home with assistance.
Absolutely. I can't address lending issues, obviously, but I will say one thing to veterans out there. If you use your loan once, that doesn't mean you can't keep using it.
Right, absolutely, I agree.
It's important.
You get your entitlement restored.
Actually, most people don't realize is you can actually have 2 VA loans at one time if you qualify, if you meet the requirements associated with your eligibility. VA issues out what they call a certificate of eligibility. That certificate of eligibility lets you know at what type of eligibility you have. Most of it has an eligibility of $36,000, which is a technical way, and also lets you know if you are a disabled vet or you're not a disabled vet, because that has to do with the funding fee associated with it. And then based upon that, as you mentioned also, VA has no limit in regards to their loan amounts. The only limit they have is if you're going to do 100% financing with zero money down, that limit is $417,000. However, if you're to do a jumbo VA loan, it's cheaper than a traditional jumbo mortgage because the loan amount and the down payment is a lot less expensive, and the interest rates are phenomenal. So you're absolutely right.
I'm doing a transaction with a client right now that's doing a jumbo VA loan.
Best loans out there.
And all he has to put up is 25% of the amount above $417,000.
The difference, that is correct.
There's nothing like being at a closing for one of these heroes and see them get the keys to their new house.
Right.
It's the most rewarding thing that I've done.
Absolutely.
Well, Homes for Heroes is a great organization.
I've got a transaction going right now. My client is a police officer. His wife is a teacher. And the buyer happens to be in the military, and his agent didn't know anything about the program. Well, he's in the program too now.
Right.
That's awesome. We shameless plug to my 2 business partners. They both served. One of my business partners was Army Ranger, and my other business partner was in the Air Force, and number 2 recruiter in Texas. Actually, in the United States. I take that back.
You can thank them for their service for me if you would, please.
Absolutely. Troy and Randall both served, and we consequently have supported Homes for Heroes on a number of occasions. We've sponsored events and the organization. Big fan of the organization. So love what you guys are all about and what y'all are doing with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
That is awesome. Well, so we tell everybody is if you want to know more information, you can go out to Homes for Heroes. If you want to actually reach Neil directly, Neil, how can we reach you?
You can call the Bernstein Real Estate Office at 713-932-1032 or call me directly at 832-608-0874.
What's that direct number one more time?
713-932-1032.
1032. Yeah, a great organization and a great individual we have over there.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Time flies when you're having fun, and we are having a lot of fun right now. One of the things we're going to come over to right now, obviously, we've got Amanda, who's been sitting over there in the corner. Amanda, how you doing?
She's been sitting in the corner patiently.
Yeah. No one puts Amanda in the corner.
That sounds bad. Say hello, Amanda.
Good morning.
She was bad.
Absolutely. Well, Amanda, let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do, by the way.
Well, I'm Amanda Osgood. I'm with Kruger Real Estate. I grew up in Houston, so I'm really familiar with all the neighborhoods. I've lived in the Inner Loop for about 10 years now, and my markets that I sell in primarily are the Heights, lots in Montrose, Rice Military.
So you're mainly in the low dollar section of Houston then?
Yeah, low dollar. You know.
Government assistance, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, shockingly, most of my home buyers are first-time home buyers.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, you know, it's a great area down there. I mean, we've seen a resurgence. You know, the Heights has been for a long time, but we've really seen a resurgence after what happened in 2008 of that market down there. If you look at Rice Military, if you look at the downtown area, if you look at Heights, I mean, it is absolutely, and real estate all over is booming. But what you're seeing going on down there is absolutely amazing.
It's what we call, economists call a hypermarket right now. And, of course, our corporate office is in the Heights. And I've watched land sales go up from $30 a foot. Now I'm seeing $60 and $70 a foot in about a year and a half time period.
Good. Wow.
Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes I'll have clients who are a little older, and they'll call and they're mad because they see the prices in the Heights, and they think, this is crazy. Nobody's going to do this. And then I have people who are new to Houston, and they call me and they say, this is a steal. I can't believe I'm getting this beautiful home for only $450,000. So, it's all relative to what you're used to. If we have people moving to Houston for all the great jobs we have, and in California, they sold their home and they've got all this cash, and they come to Houston, and, and that's...
And we'll be happy to take their cash, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We especially like California cash.
Absolutely. Well, I got a
bills,
question,
please.
Amanda. You're saying that you're seeing a lot of first-time home buyers, which is good. It also shows that a lot of first-time home buyers are buying homes in the more affluent areas, a little bit higher priced. What's that attributed to? Why are they choosing and moving into that area, especially your first-time home buyers?
Well, most people work either downtown or Galleria area, and it's really easy access. Houston traffic it's not the best. So
do we have traffic in Houston?
What are you
I did
talking
not
about?
know that. Doesn't move, right?
Yeah, so, everybody loves the Heights. They love Rice Military. They love that it's everything, a lot of new construction. It's easy access to Galleria or downtown. There's so much to do inside the Loop.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, amazing restaurants, bars, shopping, lots of activities. There's lots of culture events. Right around Allen Parkway, there's lots of new construction happening.
Right.
Eleanor Tinsley Park is just getting a huge facelift. And there's something for everybody right in the heart of Interloop. There's things for the outdoor people. There's going to be an outdoor music venue right there on Allen Parkway.
Wow.
There's just lots of great things for the athletes.
Museums are incredible in that area also.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
That speaks to a common thing we've had since we've been on the air is that people really aren't buying homes anymore. They're buying lifestyles.
Yeah.
And so what are they looking for? When they come to you and say, Amanda, this is what we want, what are they looking for?
So Interloop buyers, you don't really get a yard in the Interloop. You don't have a pool. You don't have, they don't even have a garden or anything. People want to be walking distance. They want to be, a quick cab ride away from all there is to do downtown or Interloop. So, a lot of really the most popular thing that I sell is the 3-story townhomes. They're on a tiny lot and you're right next to your neighbor. But because you are so close to all the fun stuff, it's worth it to them. They're okay with not having a yard or a pool.
So they strictly.
But the Heights is nowhere near me.
Lucky for them.
Keep moving those monuments out. It might.
Right. Yes. Exactly. But the fences stay intact, right? Because there's very little out there. But one of the things that's really interesting. I've got a really good friend of mine. I've got several friends of mine live down there. And, and it's really neat because we go down there and a lot of times he has parties, et cetera. And guess where the parties happen? On the rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a choice that we mentioned right here, but there's a little bit of things for everything. But it's really neat because then, if we want to go somewhere, we just walk down the street and go to a restaurant. We go to, and I don't want to, we have a lot of different restaurants down there. Or you walk down the street and go to a park or, walk across you walk a couple blocks away and now you've got Memorial Park over there.
We didn't want to plug any of the restaurants because they're really bad about paying the invoices when we send them to them.
That is correct.
Yeah.
but walking scores are a big, especially people who come from other metro areas where they're used to walking. You go to San Francisco, you go to Boston, you go there. They're used to walking to locations. And
because that's not a Houston thing.
That is not. It becomes if you raised
that area,
Houston,
it is.
Downtown was dead for a long time.
Right.
And then now they've got venues downtown, and people want to be close to them.
And there's a metro, and people starting to use a metro. It's growing. I don't think Houston's ever going to be really a public transportation city.
Yeah,
probably
I would
not.
agree with you.
Probably not. But that's why walkability is so important.
Right.
They don't want to do the public transit because, first of all, that the train goes from one place to another place, and if those aren't the place you want to go, You're not going to get on.
Well, and what's amazing, and when we come back, because we're up against a break again right now, when we come back, though, again, the transformation of Houston is not something that just took place over the past 5 years as real estate's gone. I mean, the transformation of downtown to Montrose, it really was initiated, I want to say about 15, 20 years ago, and now it's come across. So we're going to get into that when we come back. We are up against a break right now, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Something's gotta give, something's gotta give.
On this one right here, we were talking with Amanda. We're talking about how Houston really, this revitalization has happened. You're a native Houstonian. You said you've been here for a long time. Talk a little bit about that, about what you've seen, especially now that you're in the inner loop, and what you see coming forward. What do you see going forward over the next 10 to 15 years?
Well, downtown itself, I remember, 10 years ago, nobody really wanted to do anything downtown other than go to work.
Or throw somebody off on the corner if you didn't like them.
Right, exactly. And now there's a new wave of nice restaurants, coffee shops, bakeries, really nice bars. There's even been some nice retail come in.
What's a bar?
A bar?
Yeah. I'm just joking. I've got kids now. I don't get to go to those anymore.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of new development in downtown that it's really appealing to the inner loop resident. And it makes it to where you can, go to your office downtown, and then you can also go to happy hour, go to dinner, do some light shopping all in the same spot, keep your same parking spot.
Absolutely.
So it's coming up. And like I said, all the new developments in the Rice Military area and the little pocket between River Oaks, Montrose, Midtown.
Right.
There's tons of new development over there that's just, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
Availability is my last question. What are you seeing availability-wise?
The inventory is still lower than we would like it to be. It's still a seller's market. There's tons of new apartment construction. For all the people that are moving here for jobs and they need an immediate place to live, I've seen tons of new construction around that area, around like the River Oaks area. A lot of people come here. I get clients and they call and they don't want to live in an apartment. They're happy with the townhouse because they come from, Chicago, New York, LA, and they're used to not having space. So they're totally fine with a townhouse or a condo, something small. And so I see a lot of that coming up, and people are okay with it, which is keeping the prices high.
It's so strange to be hearing this because when I moved to Houston, I've been in Texas all my life, but I moved to Houston in '85, and I live in Humble, and that was like another city. You needed a passport to get out there.
By the way, Joe, it is another city.
It is another city, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. That's my point. Is that it's just like one blur between, the Humble, Kingwood, Atascocita, and now downtown. It's all so spread out now. And forever I said, that Houston would never run out of land. It was just so spread out. But my gosh, there's areas of town now where we have run out of land. You can't find places anymore.
637 square miles, and it's full.
Yeah,
very full.
It really is amazing, and
they're building homes up. Find those tiny little lots. If you drive down Montrose and you'll look between two restaurants, they'll build two townhouses. Skinny little tall things, and people will buy it, and they think it's awesome because they can walk to El Tiempo.
So Amanda, if somebody wants to be in those areas you're talking about, Rice Military, what are they going to expect to pay as an entry level price?
For new construction, it's about $195 a foot. So, the average home that I've got several showings scheduled today, and in the Heights Rice Military, they're probably between low 400s and mid 600s.
Okay, so that's what if I want to be inside the loop and I want new construction, that'll
be prepared to pay $420, $450.
Okay.
That is amazing. Just amazing. What's going to, there it is right there. That's really good stuff. One of the things also, you're with Kruger Real Estate. Let me know a little bit about Kruger.
Kruger Real Estate is an amazing company. We're a boutique real estate firm. We only have about 20 agents, but we compete with people like John Dougherty and Martha Turner. We have high-end clients. We're really good at taking care of our clients. I personally represent a little more buyers than sellers, but we focus on inner loop, and everybody that works for Kruger lives where they work. They're super familiar. We obviously, like everybody says, put our clients first, but it's just our clients really drive us, and we do everything we can to make it a start to finish amazing experience when it comes to getting them pre-qualified, figuring out their financing, figure out what neighborhood they want to be in. all the way to closing and getting the place decorated.
That is awesome. I always like to ask that question right there because, there's a lot of companies out there and we bring on the best of the best. So
Always
bring them on. And Joe, now I'm going to go over to you because you had a question that you wanted to ask Shadan. I'm going to let you ask
I
that
forgot what
question
it was.
right now. You forgot what it was entirely, wasn't it?
I'm kidding. I do have a question. So we're looking at getting a pool, and the first thing the pool guy asks for is the survey. I go looking through all the title work, and I can't find a survey anywhere.
Okay.
And I'm like,
so how long? How long have you lived in your house? When was the last?
2006.
2006.
2000.
You got a couple of options if you really don't want to get a new survey. You can try to contact your title company that you close with, and if they are organized, they should be able to pull that file and provide you a copy of that survey that you closed with. And I'm sure there was a survey.
And that's where I was going to say. This was I kind of had to figure this all out, but for somebody who was in my position here. Like in what situation where would you not have a survey? I was like, how do I not have a survey? Why don't I have one?
You may have just not gotten a copy of it at closing for whatever reason.
So that's one option.
That's one option.
But I found out that I actually didn't have one.
So let's say that you don't have one, and you definitely need to get a new survey. Then you just contact us, and we'll take care of that for you. But as far as the question earlier about when one needs a survey, okay, so certainly in a case for a purchase or refinance, you're going to need a survey. Their title companies and lenders are more strict when it comes to purchase. And a lot of them will require a new survey, even if a survey is 10 years or younger, because they just want a new survey. Basically, they have the seller sign a form that says, to the best of my knowledge, I have not made any changes to the property. And so it's really the seller's word against it, in that situation. So you want to make sure you're getting an accurate representation of what's on your property.
What I didn't know when I bought my house, and it's kind of where I was going with this, that first of all, to even look for one, it was the first house I bought at that time. So I bought other properties since then, but I didn't know at the time to say, I want a survey. Where's the survey?
I can add in something here if you don't mind.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You definitely need a survey. From what I've heard today, if you are Joe's neighbor.
And we're gonna have.
Joe, let me add something into that.
And this is Tammy Copa with Premier Surveying.
Hi, Joe.
The great Tammy.
You don't necessarily you owner finance. So if you're a cash buyer, they don't have to provide a survey. You would just buy it after you purchase your home. But again, it's always a good idea to get a survey because you never know, what fence has been moved in the middle of the night.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. Interestingly, the person we bought our house from had won the lottery.
Wow.
And they bought a bunch of investment properties.
Do they need a nanny?
This is many years ago now.
I'm thinking the surveys they're going to need. They're going to need a bunch of surveys.
I thought he was going to say, interestingly enough, none of my neighbors have caught that have moved their fence line yet.
There you go. So he bought a bunch of properties and was flipping them.
Right.
Now,
And at the time, I was teaching at a private Christian school, theology, and had someone that was close to him, one of his students, and long story short, he opted to own or finance a house for my wife and I, Kim.
Sure.
And then 2 years later, we refinanced and purchased it on our own. But never in that process did I get a survey.
So when you refinanced and purchased, they didn't ask you for a survey, that you had to buy a survey?
No.
Wow.
Now,
Typically, you have to provide a survey if you're financing anything at closing, and that's one thing
I don't know
want to add.
how we didn't get one. That was kind of the mystery. That was kind of the mystery to
restrictions
me.
have really changed. I
And
think
there's a
Chris
lot of
can probably-
lenders not around anymore because of that.
That's exactly right.
That may be the case.
There were some serious issues before
And
that
that's-
have been remedied now.
That's one reason you should use Premier, because we don't hold up your closings. We can expedite your survey by rushing without a rush fee. So
we moved in 2004 and we refinanced in 2006.
We're about running out of time, so I want everybody to
We
have a
are,
chance to give out
exactly.
a phone number. Tammy,
Please.
How can people get a hold of you to order a survey?
You can get a hold of me by calling me at 832-607-1707. Again, 832-607-1707.
And that is Tammy with Premier Surveying. A great individual here local. I can't talk highly enough about how good the services are. Neil, how about you? How can we reach you?
Well, for Homes for Heroes or any of your real estate needs, please get hold of Bernstein Realty at 713-932-1032 or call me directly at 832-608-0874.
Shadan, how can we reach you?
I'm just going to say kudos to Neil real quick about the Homes for Hero program and say that we will offer employee pricing for any of your Homes for Hero transactions. So please give that business to us. We're here to help you out. People can reach us by calling our main office at 972-612-3601. And you can personally reach me at 214-538-3827. Again, that's 214-538-3827. And visit our website, www.premiersurveying.com. All the information is there for you.
How about Amanda over there?
Amanda in the corner.
In the corner. No one puts Amanda in the corner. You know that.
You can call me at 832-755-1673, or you can find us on Facebook. You can find me, Amanda Osgood, on Facebook, Kruger Real Estate on Facebook, or you can visit our website at krealestate.com.
krealestate.com.
You can chase her down inside the loop today while she's out showing.
While she's out showing, that is great. You know, one of the things that we always do, we always end every show with a great saying. And, you know, this week is no different. One of the things, it's a great saying from Eleanor Roosevelt that actually says, great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. You know, we have been discussing some great ideas, and I encourage everybody when
we were
as
just
you move
discussing
forward,
Eleanor Roosevelt.
That is correct. As you move forward right there, know one thing, we are here available to you. Go out to our website anytime. It is the realestateratpack.com. And like us on Facebook. A lot of good information out there. Until next time, we are going to be out.
Such teeth, dear. And it shows them pearly white. Just a...
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is
Frank.
is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the Real